Peace and blessings, health is wealth. What's up, people? How y'all doing? You know, I trust that everybody is feeling fantastic, feeling amazing. And, I just wanted to chop it up on the health piece. I'm kind of chill, laid back in this comfortable chair right here, Got this 6'3" 3/4 frame, just propped up. Got my legs crossed. Got my green bottle on deck. Stay hydrated, but I just wanted to really chop it up on general principle. I've been doing a lot of reading, and one thing about this health organization, that we're all a part of, those who it applies, they do a very, very good job of sharing information with us through our emails. The health education that we get is, I would have to say, top tier. It's not to say that we can't each, pursue other information and education independently on our own. But it just feels really good knowing that there are other minds and other sources of information that we could tap into collectively and extract and draw upon, very vital health information, that to me, based off of what I've been learning, is really like very imperative, to our health and our future, our longevity. Recently, this past week, our health organization had put out an article about, it really wasn't even an article, it was a link, but it took you to a video. And I put it on my page. It's on the Xooma Worldwide public corporate page, global headquarters page as well, just in case you are, somebody who may be interested in learning more about the microbiome or the microbiota, which is primarily our gut health, our healthy gut flora, our gut lining health. And there's a lot of extensive studies that are going on all around the world, right? Not just here in America, all the way over there in Japan, China. And it's really amazing because what they're finding is that it really was based off of like MS and, a lot of other issues like post-COVID, people that, had, brain fog and all kind of other disparities and malfunctions, with their sensory organs and things like that, after they, had gotten over the symptoms of the virus. But what stands out is that 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our guts. So that's what has led to this more in-depth study of, of our microbiome. Because, we have trillions upon trillions of cells, and, in our guts that are each responsible for all different types of, specific special functions within inside of our bodies. So, I've been putting gut health first since like last November. I have the gut support pack. I've had that on auto ship ever since the Xooma 365 came out. Once it hit the inventory and they put that package together, item number 9125 for members, I just went on ahead and put it on auto ship because it's really a no-brainer. I get the prebiotic, the probiotic, and the enzymes. But what I wanted to really talk to the people about, just to, put some on your minds. The question that comes to my mind is, based off of all of this information that we're consuming, all of these headlines, all of these studies, and, in this day and time with all of these viruses and, people, heart disease being at the top of the charts, cancer, you get the picture. I think that it's safe to say that most of us have heard about, that the saying, let your food be your medicine, or let your food and your water be your medicine, right? It's a very popular statement in the naturopathic, the whole holistic community, right? Globally, worldwide. Let your food, your water, your herbs, all of that stuff be your medicine, right? And practice prevention. But even with me being plant-based, right, I still have to ask myself this question as well. Although I've already answered it because I'm taking proactive measures daily to fill in the blanks. But it's not just about me. It's about the people, right? How is your food going to be your medicine? How is your water going to be your medicine? Especially here in America, because that's where I'm primarily focusing on America. How can our food and our water by itself, right, be relied upon exclusively to be our medicine if in fact, and it is a fact, that the very agricultural soil, that the food that we're buying out of the grocery stores, bottled waters, all of that stuff, right? Fruits, vegetables, which a lot of the fruit is seedless. Now there are a lot of labels coming out, bio, engineered, Monsanto, you get the picture. But if the majority of our produce that's purchased in stores, right, lacks the real nutrients and the health benefits, the minerals and nutrients that our bodies cannot make on their own, and we're supposed to be able to get those minerals from the groundwater, from the spring water, from the fruits, the vegetables, legumes, you get the picture, from the produce, the agricultural produce in general. But if our sources of food, produce, fruits, vegetables, you get the picture, if it's depleted of the minerals that our bodies need biologically in order to keep us well, then we have to ask ourselves a logical question. Where are we going to get those minerals from? Because our bodies are made up of 102 to 114 minerals, arguably, right? But I'm not here to argue that point. But let's just say that we can all agree upon the fact that our human biology, which consists of trillions upon trillions of cells, that's what we are biologically. And each and every last one of those trillions of cells are codependent upon the minerals that we're supposed to be able to get from the ecosystem, from the soil, from the water, the food, which all is intrinsically supposed to be recycled through the air in terms of the rain, water. You get the picture. But if our very environment is lacking due to the depletion of agri-tech, right? Agri-tech, Monsanto, bioengineering, GMO, right? So that means that our food source has been compromised. And not only has it been compromised, I would like to say that when it comes to nutritional value, by way of the numbers and the statistics, it has been eviscerated. So it's like, we speak about over-the-counter drugs, right, being placebos. But by way of the information, our apples, you get the oranges, seedless grapes and stuff like that, it's really a placebo, because we're eating these fruits and vegetables thinking that we're providing our bodies what they need. But if the fruits have already been denurtured, if they've already been, sabotaged, if you will, then we're really not getting what we need. And I tell people all the time, it's very, very dangerous health-wise to try to attach idealism or the ideals of the past to a current reality that is incapable of providing us or fulfilling our biological needs. Now, what do I mean by that with more simplicity? Let's just say 75 to 100 years ago, right? Our grandparents or great grands, if you will, right? They didn't have this problem. They didn't have, why? Because they didn't have to worry about bioengineered food. They didn't have to worry about fake fish, right? They didn't have to worry about chemtrails. They didn't have to worry about carcinogens being pumped into their water supply, you know, to kill other parasites and other germs, right? So they weren't faced with the same obstacles biologically. So of course they were able to eat wheat and grains and, you know, rice. And even if, you know, those, you know, most people ate meat. Okay, let's just keep it real, you know. But even the meats that they were eating, in a lot of cases, they were cows, if you will, pigs, whatever kind of meat they were eating, for the most part, it was communally and locally raised, fed, and grown and grazed on, you know, on land and soil that was mineral rich. The meal, or from table to, you know, to the field or what have you, you get the picture. Because we're all a part of an ecosystem. So whether or not if you eat animals or not is not what I'm really pointing out here or getting to. What I'm saying is that whether it's animals, fruits, vegetables, grains, you know, legumes, we're all a part of this ecosystem. And we're all feeding on, you know, we're either feeding on or being fed upon. That's life. But inside of the cycle of life, there's a certain nutritional value that has to be upheld in order for life to be sustained. And anytime the food supply, the water supply, and I'd even have to say the air supply, because it's all conducive. Once that has been compromised, let's keep it real. Does it really take that much for us to really grasp that our health has been compromised? ADHD, cancer, blood sugar issues, right? You know, obesity, which is always connected to pre-diabetic, right? So as the ecosystem is denurtured, compromised, you know, contaminated, the groundwater, the what used to be healthy springs, natural springs, we cannot continue to approach our nutrition in the same ways that our great grands did. You know, because I get that a lot. Well, you know, my parents or my grandparents ate this way or did this way, right? Now, arguably, I will say that biologically, by way of our natural design, we're not naturally designed to eat meat. But I'm not the vegan preacher, okay? You're free to eat as you know how you please. But what I am saying, it's not really rational or logical to utilize 5 to 7 generations ago as leverage to try to validate why we're doing things, you know, in the same way in the present here and now. Why? Because even though they were still eating incorrectly biologically, right? The fact of the matter is that the animals and the soil and the water were still mineral rich. So that means that they had better gut health, better digestion. They had more enzymes within inside of the fruits and the vegetables. They didn't have to worry about carcinogens. They didn't have to worry about chemtrails. They didn't have to worry about GMO. So when you look at it, even though they were not eating idealistically, what we would call the natural ways of the human biology, or the way that the human biology is designed in order to consume food, because all living creatures and entities on the planet have a biological description and are designed to eat and to consume food and to dispose of waste in a certain way that's case specific to their biology. So it's safe to say that because they had healthier soil that was mineral rich, that the water was more mineral rich, right? And that they didn't have to compete with bioengineering, GMO, Monsanto, chemtrails. You get the picture. That their bodies were able to excrete waste. Their bodies were able to assimilate, to break these food properties down, this meat or whatever it is that they were putting inside their bodies. And also, there was way less fast food consumption back then. So all of these things helped to contribute with why we still saw a lot of our grandparents still live to 90 years old, to becoming centurions, right? But let's not utilize that as leverage to try to validate what we're doing now, because not only were they still not on the proper diet, they didn't have to compete with what we have to compete with ecologically and environmentally, which is synonymous, right? And we have way more to compete with now. More fake food, fake fruits, contaminated water, more convenience. You have to also look at the fact that they were more physically active than when it came down to have, the physical labor that they had to do. They weren't in the information age. A lot of people didn't have automobiles. They didn't have a lot of the technologies that we have now. So a lot of things that they did had to be done by hand. They had to actually, they were more active. Wherein now, a lot of people are more, sitting down all day, not really, walking around, moving around, not having to really get it how you live it. So this is the reason why we need supplements, and not just any supplement, moving forward, because the most expensive multivitamin that we're going to ever purchase is the ones that don't work, because we have to compensate for what we're not getting through our food supply, what we're not getting through our water. Bottled waters can't do it. Tap water can't do it. And unfortunately, the fruits and vegetables that we're predominantly getting out of the grocery stores, they're sprayed and coated with all, preservatives, toxic waxes, because it's more centered around and based upon shelf life, which equals more profits. Because these companies that, are actually shipping these products and produce into the cities, they can't afford for things to spoil before they sell it. And if you know anything about fruits, especially apples, they're highly absorptive. So a lot of that stuff that they place on top of it, even though we skin it, hey folks, I'm plant-based, but I know that a lot of those chemicals are still seeping into the actual flesh underneath the skin of the fruit. Why? Because even we know that our skin is our largest organ, and it absorbs everything that touches it. So what would make us think that our fruits and vegetables that are being sprayed and coated with these toxic preservatives to help them to preserve shelf life, what makes us think that these chemicals aren't still getting into the actual, parts of the fruits and vegetables that we actually end up consuming? And then when we cook the food, even with me being plant-based vegan, I still know that if I cook that vegetable, right, beyond a certain temperature, I'm destroying a lot of the enzymes. Enzymes, or AKA phytonutrients, that our guts and that our bodies need on a gut level in order to digest and to break down our food properly, so that it can be turned into a liquid, right? So that it can then be assimilated to our bodies on a cellular level, so that nutrients can be distributed throughout our entire bodies. So if that process is disrupted by IBS, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, acid reflux. You get the picture. Then that means that even though we're eating healthily, if we're not practicing and preserving and perpetuating proper digestion, then even as vegans, and even as, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, fruitarian, you get the picture, raw vegan, it simply means that we're still operating off of compromised digestion. And if we're not digesting our food properly, then we're not assimilating our nutrients properly. Then what does that mean? That means that it cannot get to the excretion part on time. And any time waste that was designed, or I would have to say delineated, right, and designated by our biology and identified as waste that's supposed to leave the body, what do you think happens to our bodies if that waste doesn't get out of our bodies in time? It gets into our blood. Now it gets to the brain, it gets to the heart, it gets to the kidneys, it gets in your bones, your muscles. Now you're gaining weight. Why? Because you're over acidic. The toxicity levels go up. So the body has to produce fat cells in order to trap these toxins as a self-defense mechanism to keep from killing you, to protect your vital organs from these toxins. But as time goes on, through overconsumption, poor digestion, not getting rid of waste, and let's not talk about colon cancer, right? And those of us who have made the transition, you know that you're going to lose at least 10 to 15 pounds, and some 20 pounds of waste weight that is calcified in your colon while you were eating meat. But what I'm getting to is that that's where the sickness and the disease and the malfunction starts to erode your bodies. And now you have health complications, and then you go to the doctor, and the first thing that they're going to do, instead of telling you to detoxify yourself, to change your diet, to increase the quality and the value and add minerals to your water, to drink half of your body weight in fluid ounces of living minerals water that we now have to create for ourselves, which is the information that we're sharing with you all globally. They put you on a pharmaceutical. They write you a prescription. Why? Because they're all in bed with big pharma. So what does that convey? They're not giving you naturopathic, homeopathic methodology when it comes to medicine. When you look at the Hippocratic Oath, right? Hippocracy, who's not the father of medicine, by the way. All you got to do is look up Imhotep, and you'll find out who the real true father of medicine was. Not Hippocrates. But moving forward, they practice medicine, what is supposed to be a healing art, right? Western medicine on dead cadavers. So how can you know how to preserve the living when your whole medicinal practice, right, which is a misnomer in my opinion, wherein you're mastering life, practicing on death? Our ancestors didn't practice the healing arts on dead bodies, people. They weren't digging up cadavers out of the ground. All you got to do is go do a study on grave digging, and you'll find out how medical schools used to get their bodies, right, in order to practice living holistic medicine. Now, so the contradiction should let you know right there that that's not what you want to depend on. Naturopathic holistic medicine, when you do the history on it, it was a living art. It was about prevention, preservation. And allopathic medicine, which is the treating of symptoms, was only practiced when there was a herb or a nutrient that did not grow and could not be harvested within a specific region geographically. So our ancestors would use allopathic medicine to treat the symptoms, to keep the condition from progressing and getting worse, until someone could go and gather the herbs and the nutrients and the minerals and you get the picture, that was needed in order to completely heal you. Not to create a condition where the sickness could be perpetuated and incubate so that they could keep on cash cowing you and throwing, gas on a fire so that way you never get well, right? So that they could keep profiting off of you. which is what Western medicine is based upon. So with that, please do your research, pay attention to the information, and do you and your family a justice, and, accept the fact that we're not living in an ecological, environmental, ideal world anymore. So to use idealistic approaches will be very dangerous to you and your family's health moving forward, because it's only getting worse. Okay? So with that, within a survival situation, we have to compensate for what we're missing. So we need supplements. We have to add the nutrients and the minerals back to our water. And whatever we can't get through our food supply, we have to get it through extracts, aka supplements. And with that, my name is Tamar Brown. I just wanted to share this time with you to impart this information upon you in your thinking, so that way you can start just looking at life daily when it comes down to food and liquid water consumption. And so that way you don't become the victim of placebos. The educated consumer is the healthiest consumer. And with that, peace and blessings, health is wealth. Let's keep changing the health of a generation. And I'm out of here. I'll see y'all on the next one.